chapter called Twin Flames Unite. Okay, so whenever people with, so if you take two disparate frequencies that happen to be in coincidence, guess what? You can end up with a higher amplitude energy than you could by yourself. This is a superposition principle, okay? So, is this possible between two men or two women? I don't know. But he talks about the male and the female energy in terms of the tetrahedrons coming together, and then talks about the fact that he himself had taken on the energy of the female, Isis, and his own energy, and that's why he was considered a hermaphrodite. And he had both of them so that everybody had to go through him.
Well, why wouldn't any two beings, any group of beings, add their frequencies together?
Well, they do. They could, but they may not be at the right frequency and phase in order so that it creates a higher energy. Okay. So this is, this. I think this had to do with the old rituals where they would have sex magic in a temple where they were actually, the female was doing this as a goddess for the beings to raise their consciousness. I don't know. Okay. Is it possible between two males, two females? I don't know. Me personally, I know it's possible between a male and a female based on these tetrahedral energies that he talks about in this. So I know that's possible. But here the Cycle Master, the ninth one, is telling you that that is an advantage that you could use to. Alright, so sometimes he might be a winged serpent, okay, like Quetzalcoatl to the Aztec and the Maya. In other forms, he might be something else, but he can take up any. Apparently, according to him, he can take on any material form that he wants. And according to him, he's had thousands of incarnations. So how many AKA names does Thoth have? And all the avatars? Well, because of Thoth's particular mission relative to mankind, he's got a lot, more than most of them. So. This kind of scares us all. This concept of death, that we have to lose this to take on this other form. Well, when you finally realize that your energy is immortal, and that this is just transient, and you've had an out-of-body experience where you have your full consciousness that whatever you thought happened, the idea of dying is far less scary.
Yeah, and this is more of a prison than...
Oh, exactly. He talks about that. He talks about the body being basically the anchor that's tied to your spirit that weighs you down. So, where are you at, John, with fear of death? Are you good with it?
Getting better.
I think a lot of it.
I've been really afraid of that my whole life.
Well, most people are, because they don't. We're always afraid of what we don't understand.
I'm
Right?
much more comfortable with it now.
Yeah. I think doing time in the military, where you're constantly put at a place where you could potentially die. You get good with the idea of dying, but you still don't have an understanding of what comes after unless you've gone down and really studied it. But you do lose the fear of death when your job involves that every day. Every day I went out in an aircraft with goggles on my head, or somebody potentially running me another aircraft, or wires chopping my main rotor blade off while you're flying down through the trees. After a while, you're just like, I needed intense stimulus to feel like I was alive, because I wasn't getting it as a civilian the way I was in the military. So
it's the how you die that bothers me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't mind leaving after tomorrow, but
You want to die in your sleep without knowing?
I don't want pain.
Yeah.
It's the pain is,
Yeah.
but to leave the body is, it's fine.
He goes into this kind of talks about these other forces that were summoned by them and what they did, and I think this one talks about that word that was used to unmask their countenance, right? Beings that were controlling the planet as dark lords. Well, I think they're here now. I think they routed into the body of every politician and bureaucrat and cartel banker that attends Bohemian Grove. What do you think they're doing there?
The queen is a reptilian.
No good.
God bless the queen. She's not a human
You want to come to
being.
London and say that?
Well, this is quite interesting. So, it says they were serpent-headed when their glamour was lifted. Otherwise, they appear as men among men. Well, some crazy stuff on YouTube has been showing up where people have been using high-def video shooting people, and I don't know if it's an advanced video messing around or if it's real, but I've seen several of them where all of a sudden, just the head, not the rest of the body, it just starts going, and it's just crazy looking stuff. So I went to try to find this word that he talked about using to unmask their, and apparently the Thoth and his people did this once before and threw them all out. Okay, but he warned us that they'd be back. I think they're back. Okay. So I was looking around for this word. I found one on the internet that could possibly be it. I don't know. But I went and looked this one up and looked up the Sumerian cuneiform symbols for each of these to see what they could potentially mean, if it was going to be cuneiform or whether, because the word looks Sumerian to me. It doesn't look Atlantean. I don't know the Atlantean language anyway. So I went and looked it up, and it actually, some of it made sense, and I made a picture of that, and I have it if you guys want.
You looked this up somewhere?
Yeah. So, but somebody here said that they thought that Craig had some insight into
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Okay, well maybe I'll ask him about that and see what his source is. But I didn't feel like that source was definitive. It felt like hearsay to me. And somebody made some videos about it, and it's been floating around for a while, but I don't know. If you guys happen to use it and somebody's glamour inside that, get a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll try to hide its
Of course, they'd seek out high place of authority so that they could be in charge. Well, if you look at the precepts of the New World Order, what's happening right now, I think they're in charge. And also in this one, he talks about leaving his body, exploring the outer boundaries of lookout 1, 2, and 3, going all the way past the Duat.
That was weird.
Very strange. And then, talking about having to move. This whole part, I don't want to cover too much, but this is more advanced blue stuff. Like Robert Monroe's, he wrote 3 books: Journeys Out of the Body, Far Journeys, and Ultimate Journeys. And I just got his Ultimate Journeys book not long ago. Okay, so when you get into some of this crazy esoteric levels of this, it's like, wow.
Did you travel in circles instinctively, or did you think about that? Or?
I flew more like a bird. And I remember being in a room and I could just start, moving in a way where I could hover. So I could hover and travel and bump against the ceiling if I wasn't paying attention. If I really was paying attention, I could go right through it. I'll tell you a crazy story. I was in Seoul, Korea in 1984, and I was still young and I was having a lot of out-of-body experience. And I could, for some reason, after reading Robert Monroe's when I was 17, by the time I was 21, I was still doing this and playing with the stuff that I learned. It just stuck with me. And I was in the officers' barracks, a transit barracks in Seoul, Korea. We called it Hotel 201, where we used to take our aircraft in. And I initiated an out-of-body experience while I was on the bottom bunk of one of these beds. And I used the rollout method. Remember I told you there's a sit-up and a roll. And I was looking at the wall, and all of a sudden I saw all this writing all over the wall, where people had etched and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, wait, that wasn't there before. It was all painted. I didn't see any of it. Well, somehow I was seeing this right through the paint, which was just crazy to me. And I had a very, very profound experience with it. I used to keep a journal of some of this stuff. I also noticed at that point that white noise sounds up from a fan or at a different frequency seem to accentuate the boundary condition between wake and sleepfulness, so that you can stay awake but also cause it to happen more rapidly. So that's something to play with. The sound of a waterfall, the sound of white noise, or the ocean sounds do seem to amplify the ability to reach that borderline music. Oftentimes, you'll find if you wake up during one of these processes, or if you have a REM sleep and you wake up that you're immobilized, they don't ever have that happen to them. There's a chemical in your brain that is exuded during this time so that you don't act out the dream. So it actually does immobilize you. And it doesn't wear off immediately, and it takes a few seconds or more for it to wear off. So if you ever wake up from an out-of-body experience or a REM sleep, don't be surprised if you feel paralyzed. It scared the crap out of me when I was 17. I was like, I couldn't speak. Now you have your vision, but I had not much more than that. He's talking about our body being nothing but a shell to be cast off. Okay, so, we're connected to all our space brothers through the energetic web as well. Okay, tablet 9. This is where we're going to get into the holographic model where he starts laying it out for you. We're told there are 9 dimensions of cycles of space. Levels of consciousness controlled by the lords of the cycles. Remember I told you these chakras are controlled by them. Well, those are our quantized levels of consciousness. And I think most of the yogic tradition agrees with that. And if you've experienced it, you certainly see that it's going through a gate or a portal and there's no going back once you have that burden of awareness in each one of these. Only one who is seeking may ever hope to get free. So if you're not seeking, you're not going to be a finder. They're looking, and actually that's one of the neat things about Paulo Coelho's book we'll talk about later is how they engage you when you're seeking. Usually it's some situation you don't expect and somebody in a master of disguise. Right? You just never know.
Okay, test.
Exactly. Have you guys read the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho?
No, I read the Black Alchemist. I read the Black Alchemist.
Oh.
It's a very rare.
I think he's a Brazilian, isn't he, honey? Paulo Coelho. I think this guy sold millions and millions of books. And it's not a hard read, but just the story taking you to those alchemical junction points in your path as you're trying to, achieve your destiny is really, it's inspiring.
It's a good one.
So Thoth tells you, he starts talking about the concept of time. Okay, and so according to the holographic model, he gives us there's 9 parallel dimensions and 1 dimension of time. And he tells you how to overcome this dimension of time after he explains to you what it was, as he asked the dweller to explain to him, what is time? We've always wanted to know what time is, right? And he gets told essentially that from the void, the creator of all created the law of time on top of the void in order to distinguish events in our holographic reality and our experience of progression of A to B. Otherwise, they'd be all events stacked on top and you'd see from the start to end, right?
How would you describe the 9 dimensions?
I'm going to...
Are we going to get there?
Yeah, I've got a picture we're going to go over, so I'm going to skip past some of
Okay.
this work, this stuff. I believe it was done with a cymatic vibration that was eternal. He tells him the being was eternal and his thoughts were eternal as well. Okay. So even though events are distinguished by long periods of time, the thought that created this cymatic vibration is still valid and it's eternal. And he tells you about how to overcome this with an OBE. If you come out of your body and then make a right angle turn instead of just traveling like you would as a bird, he's telling that you can overcome
The hounds.
Right, so if you overcome this vibratory frequency that creates this holographic prison of time for us, what he's saying, you then have access to these parallel dimensions, 9 in our reality, without needing to do all.
Are you going to try to describe the 9 dimensions? Okay, good.
Yeah, actually I think I did it in my Emerald Tablet number 10, where I tried to show you how these dimensions could be differentiations in frequency.
Yeah, but
And frequency, now you realize, could be mapped into your brain, so when you use your mind to focus on a particular event in an object queue, you can go to that dimension and then down into the event queue to visit a particular place in that. So that's time travel.
so you ring the doorbell, the person comes
This gets kind of heavy in chapter 10 here. This gets pretty heavy in answering this question about how do you distinguish dimensions. And I really think it comes down to frequency. Okay? Because you can have an infinite number of frequencies, and So in a communication system, how close can you get two frequencies of a communication system? Well, you can get them just as close when they start interacting with each other and cause intermodulation or harmonic distortion, right? So how close can you get dimensions together and still have them be in parallel? So this comes down to our ability to distinguish between them versus our perception, or is it a measurement problem? So is it physics or is it a measurement problem? And I think it's physics. Okay? And it's if you look at my document where I'm talking about light being the measurement, it's as close that we know of. You can get light as close as 2 nanometers apart, and it still be distinguishable.
You think there's a clean line? A little gray in there?
No, I think it follows very strict order, and we don't have the ability to perceive that. Now you're talking about perceiving on a nanoscale. Okay? A nanometer is 1.0 times 10 to the minus 9 meters. It's so small that we as humans, with our simple perception,
So like
they may be distinguishable, but they're actually in parallel.
beyond the electron microscope.
Yeah, we're getting there though. We're getting there in techniques where you can look at nanoparticles with scopes, so
Right.
tunneling microscopes and things like that. Okay, so here you can see the relationship on and onto the genealogy table, and here's the Anu group there. That's the half sister of Anu group. Why is that important? That means the offspring of this one was going to be the line of rule. And it turns out that Anu is in this line. Okay, when you look at it. So I thought that was a neat synchronicity for that discovery. Okay. And I'm going to go to a picture of this here pretty quick, and we're going to talk about that in order to really flush this out. Have you guys seen my holographic model of the universe? Okay, here's some dense wavelength division multiplexing that we do in optical fibers. So each one of these represents a wavelength of light sitting in that fiber. There's 8 wavelengths or lambdas in there. This one you got 20 through 59. Okay, so you can start to see they get really close. Well, how close can you get them? Each one could represent a dimension, is what I'm telling you. From my experience in engineering, we can get those as close as 2 nanometers apart. Right.
How many would fit in pipe?
Right. Well, it really depends on the optical fiber
Right.
and what it's designed to support.
A lot though.
A lot.
Right.
Yeah. Each one of those wavelengths can carry 2.5 gigabits per second.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For how long? How far? What?
Well, they usually connect cities with optical fibers, and you usually have to have a retransmission using an interesting device called an erbium dope fiber amplifier. So they basically take the light in, add a little current to it, ramp it back up, and then rebroadcast it.
How many, like over 1,000 miles?
Oh yeah.
How many would you have?
How many rebroadcasters?
Amplifiers, yeah.
It depends on how many wavelengths you have. So probably one every 100 miles.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the telecom standard of what they do, depending on how many nines of availability the customer wants. In America, it'd be different than it is in Mexico. That's for darn sure.
Cars don't need no amplifiers.
Yeah, another way to think about multiple dimensions is thinking about overtones in a musical system versus a comb filter, dense wavelength division multiplexing system like we do with telecommunications.
Okay.
So in the musical system,
Harmonics.
yeah, you can think of, there's infinite harmonics, but based on the scale, you specify and go, okay, how many of them are we going to allow? If you send a pulse and it's allowed to decay as a sine x over x, where it's going boom, boom, boom. Okay, well that continues forever, but the problem is there's not enough energy to measure way out on the edge with the instrument. So that's not a physics problem, it's a measurement problem. So it looks like there could have been infinite dimensions, but they seem to have chosen 9, okay, that maybe have the energy and the amplitude in order to implement these laws of creator of all. How it works.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. That's a wow.
Yeah. Let's get to the picture here real quick. talk about frequencies from the Vulcan calendar, actually specifying life forms is progressive. Okay, there's the calendar again. 9 rows, 13 columns, and then you can see here it started February 10th and ended October 28th, 2001. So we should be well into being fully awake, ready to participate in this great year, depending on how long it takes our solar system to pass through the galactic center. Okay? Who knows how actually wide that is, how fast we undulate up through there. It could take 3 years, it could take 7 years. It's not clear to me how long it takes. Do you have any insight into that? Neither do I, actually, really. All we know is after,
It's gradual, isn't it?
approximately 13,000 years it takes to pass through it. And then as you go away from the galactic center, apparently consciousness goes down, down, down to the point where you're a barbarian living in a cave again. And as it comes back toward the galactic center, that's when you reach the height of your consciousness, potentially able to graduate. That's what it seems to be the case. So the idea of consciousness and intelligence increasing linearly like this over time, not the case at all. Not the case at all. There were more geniuses in Athens in one place at one time than there have ever been in the entire world right now. It's just crazy.
If we miss the portal this time, we start going back down.
Well, this is the idea of potentially being re-enslaved
This is
you're
right now.
in a body, having to go through reincarnation, so it's possible.
Another 36,000 years.
Yeah. Because of primitive barbarians living is the consciousness and the wisdom that existed in his ancient home in Atlantis, like he described. That one 11, key to above and below. Okay, so it's interesting he talks about intersecting like a hands of a clock at some future time. That's this ninth cycle master's job is to coordinate that. He's the dimensional conjunction cop.
The dimensional flight controller.
Right. I think that was mine. And actually, I think this came from Krishnamurti too. That's very important to me. So, pursuing your particular path, where you turning your fate into your destiny, you can't copy somebody else's. It's completely unique to you. So that's why I say truth is a pathless land, only to be found in the efforts of the seeking soul. No one can seek for you, you have to do it yourself. And I think it's set up that way, on purpose. A little nugget of wisdom from the Emerald Town 11, the fall. And this kind of tripped me out when I first saw it. The future is stated as changeable, not fixed. But no, how could it be knowable but not fixed? And this, so I speculated that this would be true if the law of time were halted and all events go back to their default state, stacked in an event queue, such that if you were able to overcome the law of time, you could see them that way, even though they've been laid out and are going to happen incrementally to the experiencer of the events. So it's a kind of a deep thought experiment, but give it some thought.
I don't understand.
What's that?
I don't understand.
Well, if you don't have the concept of time,
Right.
then looking down at events, you can see them all at once,
From
start to end, just like the alpha to the omega, right? That it's talking about in the Bible.
through the 9.
Right. So those dimensions, for somebody who's overcome time, can see all the dimensions simultaneously and the events in the queue for each entity in that dimension. Because they're not distinguished by some period or eon. Okay?
And then maybe 9 levels of that.
Well, it looks like that happens in each of the dimensions. So each dimension is a set of events that are distinguished from the other dimension based on some frequencies. Wow.
That's big brain.
Yeah, immortality is really heavy. Because it was the most illuminating to me. I mean, there's some really deep stuff in here. Here we are in tablet 12. On your path, and that's your job, is to turn lemons into lemonade, right? So, knowing that eventually all this darkness will be eliminated, that we're going to have some relief, that this new world order criminals are going to fail, it's been preordained they're going to fail.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a breath of fresh air for me.
That sure.
But it's still hard to watch it happen. Right?
Thoth is going to talk directly to George Bush.
Which one?
Yeah, all of them.
Let's talk about a little of the prophecies that come out of Tablet 12. He says they're going to initiate a terrible war. We're going to forget about the knowledge of God. And I think most people have. Okay? The fact that we're talking about something that's possibly 50,000 years old, that involves beings that are setting up our holographic reality, don't need bodies. None of this knowledge is not out in the mainstream. It's not. It's not.
I've said to many people when you're going to learn about the Emerald Tablets, and none of them have even heard of it.
I know, it's just crazy. Well, he says when we get the power of lightning and global transport, that's when the Dark Lords are going to bring this war, especially when they have the power of lightning in a weapon. And we got that.
You got it, man.
I think I went back. Oh, here, so right here. Harness the power of lightning. Now, World War III is undeclared, but it's underway. It's already happening. Now, it's just a matter of time before the proxy armies get out of the way and the people that are marionetting them come head to head. And then we have no idea the extent of how bad this is going to be. But he's saying in these tablets that half of the humans will die.
Yeah, that really upsets me.
Weapons of force shall wipe out half of Earth's humans. At this point, we're told often that they will intervene in the war. And basically, because of their intervention, that ultimately this will lead to the Atlantis rising, the rising of his ancient home, as he describes it. I think we're about to see that. But actually, that's one of the positive things we have to look forward to is that, yeah, there's going to be destruction, but there's going to be an end to the age of this darkness, and we're going to see some change.
I guess it doesn't matter if you're alive or dead in a sense. I mean, it'd be nice to be alive to see the end of these creeps, but if you're not,
Well, alive meaning you maintain this body.
yeah.
Do you think you won't maintain your conscious and your awareness as your energy body apart from this body? You're still going to be around to see it.
Yeah. No, I
And
get that.
as you see later in these documents, he says, well, once you transition from your body, you'll go to a place where you'll receive a new home, okay? And then at this point, you can decide to take on a body and do a new mission or not. But that's the ultimate freedom, truly.
Yeah, that kind of jives with Jesus stuff too.
Right, exactly. So here he talks about summoning him when you need him, anytime you want. Here he gives you his ancient name to use, Shekete, Arlo, and Wonderlight. 3 times in a row.
We said that.
Yeah, we did. And actually, I was going to tell you guys, I felt like I had an extreme encounter with Bob. As a matter of fact, I think he was landing in me and animating me in a way that I couldn't believe. I mean, my hair was standing on him. So, I don't know what other people experienced, but that was profound for me. So I was talking about our concept of death involving fire and light. So this Ba energy being fanned to a flame where you no longer need this biology to go with it. In chapter of Luke, Jesus tells us about don't look here or there for the kingdom of heaven, look within. It's in you, in each of us. We're all a portal to this ultimate dimension. So, and this is exactly what Thoth teaches as well. Isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even I should say even there. Below, the kingdom of God is within you. Well, this is this is right from the Emerald Tablets. Okay, so I started seeing a huge overlap in the New Testament teachings and the teachings of Thoth. Of course, if you do 95% true and then 5% false, that's the best manipulation in the world. The majority of it's believable, and then you've got a few little tenets that throw you off the path, right? So I think there's a lot of truth in the Bible, but there's enough falsehood to really throw you off the path as well.
That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah. He also says that if you treat yourself like a human antenna with a battery, negative pole down here and the positive pole up here, and possibly align yourself to the north for an hour of the day and meditate on that, and the south for a day if you have the kind of time, you can preserve your energy long beyond what is perceived to be your maximum in strength. So we like to do that too.
Do you do that?
Oh yeah, we try to always align our travels right north and south when we land someplace, so that we can, when we go to bed, that we can play to the north thing, and then when we take a nap during the day, we turn the other way. So we play that game. It's not hard to do, right?
In Hinduism, you actually have the 8 directions.
Yeah.
You chant there's 8 mantras which you chant for each direction.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
You rotate your bed around like
Not really, no. I mean, you can just chant them, or you can just stand up and face.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
This is interesting. He tells us when the earth is transforming, that we will hold our energetic form until all matter passes away. Isn't that interesting?
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
This is the idea of one hour to the north, 1 hour to the south. And he tells you to focus on a particular area that has to do with your chakras. So go and read that again, and maybe make a cheat sheet for yourself. That's what we did, so that you can look at this and carry it around. He says by the time you get over 100, if you don't do this, you'll surely die.
It's still 97 ago.
And then he talks about preserving your consciousness at death. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but he tells you basically a way to either, if you decide to give up your avatar body and you don't want to do this mission anymore, he tells you a way that you can preserve your consciousness and leave. Or if you're at death's door, it's a very similar process to preserve your consciousness in the event that you want to take on another body as an avatar and not lose all your memory and your consciousness. So why give up? Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. And
Isn't that neat?
yeah, you bring your consciousness with you.
Mm-hmm. Here he's talking about waiting at this place to take on a body if you decide to.
Wow.
So it's up to you at that point. And he's talking about these cycle masters having access to past lives using this process. Cool, huh?
I just always think that it'd be just nice to bring certain people with me.
And bag of Doritos, is that what you're thinking?
No, people.
Oh.
Bag of Doritos would be nice too.
Few episodes of Friends.
Well, certain people that I can, pull them through the portal with me.
Yeah, I'm going to speed up just a little bit. He's talking about these out-of-body experiences and how to get to the portal. So tablet 14 and 15 I thought were pretty meaty. There's a lot of stuff in those ones. So probably before we get too heavy to that, I think understanding how to get to the borderland dream state is probably one of the most important things. So I'm going to try and get you through this since it's already recorded, and then talk about this light encoding of the reality matrix and this holographic model so you can see the whole picture all at once.
Okay.
There's the duat. I'll show you a picture of that. It looks like it's 2 dimensions higher than our own. I thought this was really interesting, where he enters the nebula